Why did I marry a Nigerian man?
Why did I marry a Nigerian man? If you haven't watched parts 1 through 3, go watch those before you watch part 4. I'm telling you, it'll catch you up. So anyway, we're headed to my now in-laws house after leaving this toxic environment with my husband's roommate and his sister, the roommate's sister. And I want to be very clear because in part 3, I mentioned that the roommate had a sister and who was gay. And when I went back to listen to it, it sounds like I'm saying that my husband, I'm speaking about my husband's sister. That's not my husband's sister. It is the roommate's sister. Okay, so I got that clear. So again, we're headed to meet my Ezeki's mother and his and father and all of his siblings, and it's quite a few of them. So we get over there. We're probably about an hour away. And I'm just, riding in the car, and I'm tired because I haven't slept well. And I'm just trying to digest everything that has been happening since I got there with the roommate and all of the fussing and fighting and stuff like that. So I'm just trying to take it all in, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm a little nervous because there's some things that, I'm concerned about. And one of the thing is, I hope I'm not leaving one toxic, situation to go to another one, because we had already decided that we weren't going back there. And Ziggy had asked me if, said that his mother wanted us to come there and stay with them, overnight until we made a decision, to where we wanted to go. And he asked me if it was okay. And I said, yeah, yeah, it's fine. And he was concerned about like me being comfortable enough over there because his mom lives in like a rural area, and it doesn't have the same kind of amenities and upgrades and stuff that his place had. So he was worried about that. And I told him, babe, I'm fine. I said, I'll adjust, I'm fine. So we're headed over there, and we're almost there. And when we're pulling up, the area looks totally different than the area that we're coming from. It's not as advanced, and it has dirt roads, and it kind of puts you in the mind of the Wild Wild West, for lack of a better description. Wood houses and stuff like that. And then it wasn't as busy as the area that we're coming from. So it was really rural. And when we got to the compound, we pulled into the gate, and all of the houses, you'll notice in Nigeria, if you've never been to Nigeria before, a lot of the houses have gated communities, and they call them compounds and stuff like that. So when we got into his parents' compound, we went through they opened the gate for us, and I can hear like the rumblings of people. I can hear like people whispering and saying, "Hey, she's here. Look, a Black Americano." That's what they call me. I was thinking to myself, Black Americano. And then it was, they were staring, and I was thinking to myself, I wonder what they're staring at. I was nervous. I was really nervous. And, but anyway, he reassured me like, you're fine. Come on. And I didn't want to be acting like I was just so nervous. I wasn't really showing that. I was like, I was smiling at people, saying hello. And then some of them were snickering because they're not used to that greeting. Or I was saying hi, and they're used to a greeting, saying alpha now, or how you day and stuff like that. So they weren't they heard my accent, and they was kind of snickering, but they were so nice. The neighbors were so nice, and they were all just outside welcoming me, and it was just a good sign. It made me feel really good. So as we approached his parents' home, we had to go upstairs because they live up in the upper level. And we were walking up the stairs, and Ziggy was in front of me, and I was like, sweat was pouring off of me. Now, sweat was pouring off of me, and I was thinking about all of these things in my head. What are they going to say about my age? What are they going to say about, my accent? What are they going to ask me about what I want with their son? I just had so many thoughts, rushing through my head. And when we got into the foyer, I could hear as Ziggy opened up the door, and I can hear, welcome, welcome. coming, and they was just so, it was so loud, and I'm just trying to look around to see, like, oh wow, like what is going on, and like, is all of this for me? Are they really welcoming me? And you can just imagine the weight that was lifted off of my shoulders when I heard them say that, welcoming me, and and being so happy to see me, and wrapping their arms around me and to show me love. I felt like I was some type of celebrity. I was like, oh my God, this is all for me. So I just returned the love, and I was like, thank you so much. And tears of joy was falling down my face, because I had been worried about this, not just that day, but I had spoke to Exegi about it before, and I was like, what if they don't accept me? What if they don't like me? What if this, what if that? I even did a couple videos about it, like, will they accept me? And it was such a relief to know that they did accept me, and that they were happy, that I was there. I was happy just to be there. I saw it as nothing short of a privilege for me to be in their home. Now let's talk about where, where I was going to stay and how comfortable I was. Now, I grew up with a family of 19 kids, on any given day, and I am the youngest. And so I grew up with a lot of people in the household, and I grew up, with hand-me-downs and things of that nature. And so I wasn't, I didn't have like a silver spoon in my mouth. And I know a lot of times when we as Americans, we go to these different countries and stuff, they think that we're uppity, or that we have, that we're not used to stress, and we're used to a soft life. But that has not always been my story, and it's not my story now. Hopefully one day, but it's not my story. So it was easy for me to adjust to this environment. It was very easy for me to adjust. Now, some of the things that I experienced there, I hadn't lived that kind of lifestyle in a long time, but it was familiar to me. Now his father and his mom are, his father is very stern, very strict, very straightforward, and he is very intimidating when you first meet him. He is very intimidating. And when I tell you, my heart almost jumped out of my chest when he walked in the room. He didn't say a word. He did not say a word. He just came and he greeted me, and he sat down, and I greeted him. And I was like, he didn't say anything. He just kind of, observed, what was going on in the room. And then when it was time for him to talk, everybody was quiet. So he had that type of power. That man had so much power just walking in the room, and he was a short man in stature, but he is a short man. I don't want to talk about him in the past tense. He is a short man in stature, but he's very powerful. So after everything died down, they had, my mother-in-law brought me something to eat, my favorite soup. Ziggy must have told him that I love egusi. This woman could cook, and I was already eating African food, and before I got there, and she made some egusi, and it was the best African authentic food that I had ever had in my life. I did not know how to eat it properly, and Ziggy showed me that. But that day I learned a different type of intimacy with my now husband, and that was sharing food. That's a different type of intimacy. And it meant a lot to me. I learned a lot in that day. Now, when everything died down, we were done eating and stuff like that. His dad and his mom wanted to have a talk with us and go over the rules of the house. And we told him what was going on at Zeki's house. And they had some rules, and some of the rules I did not agree with right away. But I was in their house, so what can you do? But some of the rules, I understood it. I understood it. These are very religious people, and they're very spiritual, and they certain things that they just wasn't gonna have in their home, and I understood that. Let me tell you what it was, because it wasn't a deal breaker for me, but I didn't know that I would be able to accept it at first. Go to part 5, and I'm going to tell you exactly what the rules of the house were.